Welcome back to the She Can channel, where we profile women from all over the world on their journey, how they got to where they are today, which is always a really inspiring and motivating space where we get lots of tips and tricks on many different areas. And I'm really excited to talk to Mirthe Eckl today. Mirthe, we've known each other for a really long time. You are a functional medicine practitioner, an incredible physio, a divine yoga teacher, and I am so excited to hear your story today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you got there.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for having me. I love your podcast. It's wonderful. So my name is Mirthe, and I have come to being a functional medicine practitioner through lots of different detours in a way. I had a autoimmune disease myself as a child, which Crohn's disease, which attacks your gut. And so I tried a lot of different modalities, Ayurveda, yoga, meditation. Then I studied hard to get into medical school in Munich. I'm German originally, which I got into. But then I was a little disheartened because the doctors weren't really able to help me with my issues. So I kind of went abroad for a couple years, did 2 gap years, and studied to become a sports physio instead. But it was very science based. It was in the Netherlands. So I learned how to do research. And during that learning how to do research, I also just started researching for my own disease. And there were so many wonderful papers on how to help with autoimmune disease. And I just implemented some of the things I found. And then my autoimmune disease, knock on wood, has been in remission ever since, where normal medical system told me this is not really possible and there's not really much you can do. And then I wanted to go and help more people with that. Kept researching. At that time, functional medicine, which is what I do now, wasn't really as well known over in Europe. So I didn't even know that that existed. So throughout my 20s, I worked with lots of different people. I was a physio for the Olympic team. So I worked with lots of different areas. And then I always wanted to help more people, kind of empower them to take their health into their own hands. So again, another detour in my 20s, I then had a surf bikini brand that was all about sports and empowering women to live their healthiest and most empowered life. And I had Volvo cars come on board and sponsor me for, I think it was 5 summers, and toured around Europe to empower women and girls in particular to just do their thing and be really healthy. Anyways, long story short, I then finally found functional medicine and did a postgrad degree and have been working as a functional medicine practitioner ever since.
Mirthe, and I've been watching that journey, and it's a very empowering journey because we often read about these stories that people cure themselves. And you are someone who's really here to live to tell the tale, and who really managed to cure an autoimmune disease, or make it be in remission. And this is a very powerful thing. And this is what you teach other people. So tell us your main motivator. What is the thing that motivates you most?
Yeah, so I think it's simply that I was in so much pain in my all my childhood years, and there wasn't much help, and it felt like that was just it for life. And I want to help other people to I want other people to know that doesn't always have to be the way, that there might be another way to help feel better. And it can be any health issue. It can be anxiety, it can be hormone issues, it doesn't have to be an autoimmune disease. I just want them to know that there actually there's another way. So I want to impart that, because I know how it feels not to feel good.
So walk us through, if someone is listening who that resonates with and they want to get in touch, what would the journey be with you to start a functional medicine practice with you, and get followed by you?
Okay, so if someone had a health concern, you mean, if someone wanted to be a patient? Yeah, so there's 2 types of people that I work with actually. One are people that already have a health problem like an autoimmune disease, or they're having trouble conceiving, or whatever else it is, PCOS. Um, they will have an initial consultation with me, and then we'll look at what other tests they've already done. And I usually look at things in a little bit more depth and look at where things are not quite optimal. Maybe do some more testing, stool testing, all these things that people nowadays talk about, all these biohacking tools. I'm actually the clinical version of it. I will look at what is the gut microbiome doing, what are the hormones doing, and then come up with a strategy that is bespoke for that person. And it's usually dietary changes, lifestyle changes, some supplements to help get rid of triggers that are triggering issues, and then help the body heal. And the other part are people that just want to optimize and prevent. They know that they have a health history or a family history of Alzheimer's or cancers, and they just want to make sure that they're not running down that track. And then we can test similar tests, but again, be more precise and say, okay, these things are not quite optimal, and we know that they in 20 years might cause this issue. So let's be proactive rather than wait until it's too late.
That's amazing, Mirthe. Yeah, that's really amazing. So, Mirthe, what do you think are the top qualities you have that make you so good at what you do?
We talked about this before. This was a difficult question. um, I believe I often just connect the dots of things that I don't come up with new research myself. I'm not a researcher. I'm a nerd, I would say. I read the papers and I just really dig deep until it makes sense to me. I read all these different things. I'm like, why this doesn't make sense? And I keep going until I find kind of a solution, or until it makes sense from a biology perspective. And if someone comes to me and says, why is this, and I don't have the answer, I just go and dig deeper. So I think that's kind of, I always want to find out why it is happening, and then there's usually a solution. Yes, that's probably one of the qualities.
A detective. Mirthe, what top tips can you give? Your top tips to really live a healthy life, a life in balance for women of all ages. What would you tell them? What are the sort of core things?
Okay, so I generally recommend an 80-20 rule. So I usually say people don't have to go and take all the joy out of life and just eat salad all day long. So that's an important part, I find, because there's something called orthorexia, where people want to be healthy and all of a sudden it becomes almost obsessive and they don't really live anymore. So first of all, I find pleasure is a really important part of life, and it actually has a biology effect. It helps our cortisol, our stress hormones. So there is an actual reason. So have some fun, do enjoy time with family, friends, self-care, look after yourself. That is actually really important, not just because it sounds good, but because it helps with our cortisol, our stress response. That gets me to the next thing. So stress levels are actually one of the biggest almost hindering factors I find in my patients. They oftentimes people go and they do exactly what I tell them with their food. They'll take the supplements, they will exercise, they maybe even go and have a sauna and have ice bath and all these wonderful fancy things. But the core is that they are constantly in fight or flight mode. And if our body's in fight or flight mode, it cannot be in the other nervous system state called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, digest, and heal mode. So if we are in fight or flight, which a lot of us are, then our body cannot do its thing of healing, digesting, and just recovering, restoring. And that is probably the most important one that I would say is dealing with stress, finding a way to manage stress and getting into that rest, digest, and heal state more often. And actually, one simple trick that I would like to share is it's very simple. It's just to focus on belly breathing. So maybe set a timer once an hour. Put one hand on the chest, one on the belly, and notice whether you're breathing into the chest. Most people do really shallow breathing because we have so many things to do. And just breathe into the belly and slow it down for a count of 4. And that, again, might sound a little woo-woo, but it is actually, research shows that simple act of just slowing it down and breathing into the belly for a count of 4 in, count of 4 out, that switches us right over into that healing mode. And all of a sudden our digestion gets better, our bloating goes away, our sleep gets better, our hormones get more balanced. So that's a really simple one. And then the other, I would say, things that people often know about are getting sleep, really important for the rest of how much we eat the next day, whether we have cravings. It throws our blood sugar off the next day if we don't have enough sleep. So aiming for 8 hours of sleep, plus minus. And then obviously a balanced diet that doesn't have to be overcomplicated, just real foods. The less processed, the better. I would say those are probably the main ones.
Amazing. Thank you, Mirthe. Mirthe, so what is the vision for you, your practice, your goals, things you want to achieve, dreams you have?
Yeah, so I love working with people one on one, but I am aware that that only reaches a certain percentage of people, and I would really like to bring that message out that health, we can be in charge of our health. We can be the CEO of our health journey. It is not just something that's given to us from our genetics, our family history. So I'm currently, I've started doing more public speaking events, going corporate workshops, because oftentimes, obviously, that's where people spend a lot of time, and help people in workshop settings that maybe can't see me one on one talk about different topics, how to optimize hormones and sleep and stress, which supplements can be helpful. And then also, I'm currently creating these workshops, online courses, so people can join me in a group setting. And then also, I'm writing a book that has all the basics in it, how to eat to nourish your hormones rather than another diet that just you eat something so you feel skinny, but actually it's messing with your hormones even more, and it's just a short-term fix. So that's the next step.
Amazing, Mirthe. I'm so excited for all of that. And thank you so much for imparting your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.